A bit of an alternative lifestyle would be an understatement. You see, I didn't exactly grow up the way other kids did. What seemed weird to other people was always just the norm for me. Until one day when I wished more than anything that I could just have had a normal life. When you're a teenager, the last thing you want is to stand out. Everyone just wants to fit in and have friends. Well, I quickly came to realize that I was no different. I was a circus kid. Both my mom and dad worked in the circus, and I was even born backstage while the circus was traveling around the country. As a kid, it was like the dream life. Every day was full of color and laughter, and my dad's an actual clown. That's his job. Most kids only see clowns once a year at their birthday parties, but I saw one every single day. And looking back, I can see why I was so carefree and happy. But unfortunately, things began to change the older I got. When I was 15, my parents decided I needed to attend a proper high school. We circus kids were schooled at the circus by a few different teachers, but my parents felt it was important that I make the transition into the school system before I went off to college. I won't lie, I was nervous. I had lots of friends and was a fairly popular kid, but they were all circus kids like me. I'd never hung out with someone who wasn't the son or daughter of an acrobat or a clown or a ringmaster. So that's how I found myself sitting in a classroom full of strangers. I was the new kid, and for the first few days, everything was fine. I didn't have anyone to eat lunch with, but I knew it would just take time to make friends. After a few days, we had our first physical education class of the year, and I was pretty excited. I'm not the most academic, but when it comes to anything physical, I'm your guy. And believe it or not, that day we were starting a gymnastics class. I don't know what came over me, but before the class even started, I just started doing some backflips on the mats that were laid out. Suddenly, the room went silent, and everyone was staring at me. Of course, that was the exact moment that our teacher, Mr. Sweeney, walked into the room and asked me what on earth I was doing. I stopped, brushed my hair out of my eyes, and straightened up. "Sorry, sir, I was just doing some stretches. This is the warm-up we do every day in the circus." Then I realized what I'd done. I just told everyone I was a circus kid. I could feel my face blushing. My mom had warned me to keep quiet about it in case my classmates thought I was boasting. I had seriously put my foot in it. Everyone erupted into laughter, and Mr. Sweeney said, "Kid, do you think it's funny to be a show-off? You're in school now, not the circus, so stop clowning around and take a seat." Was I in trouble? I didn't understand. It was just a normal warm-up. I wasn't showing off. I'm not even the show-off kind of guy. In fact, I'm like the shyest guy in the circus. Oh yeah, I probably should have mentioned that I'd start doing some basic acrobatic work with my mom. She's a professional acrobat, and she'd been teaching me since I was a kid. If all else failed and I didn't get accepted to college, I knew I could be an acrobat. But then I wasn't so sure. For the rest of the class, everyone looked at me in such a weird way, and I could hear people whispering about me. That's when the bullying started. At first, it was harmless. Some days I'd come into class and someone would ask me to juggle, or they'd shout at me in the hall and call me Circus Boy. But then it got worse. One day I came into class and on the blackboard was a drawing of a clown, and underneath it said, "Go back to the circus, Circus Boy. You're not welcome here, you freak." Up until that point, I'd told my parents school was fun and that I was enjoying it. Of course, I was lying, but I didn't want to hurt their feelings. Something about seeing the word freak written on the board, though, unleashed emotions within me that I didn't even know I had. I was angry. Angry at the bullies and angry at my parents for giving me no other choice but to grow up in the circus. They caused this. Because of them, no one wanted to be my friend. That night, I got home from school and I just lost it. I started shouting at them and asked them why they couldn't have just had a normal job like other parents. I told them they were freaks and watched as their faces crumbled, and my mom burst into tears. I didn't care. All I cared about in that moment was leading a normal life. For the next few days, we didn't speak, and at school, I kept my head down and tried to blend in as much as possible. It took me a while to notice, but eventually I realized there was no more bullying. It had just stopped. Was this what high school was like, I thought? Did people pick on you, then move on to the next person? I later found out that this was indeed true, and one of the girls in my class told me that actually the bullies were just jealous of me because I had such a cool life, and they had been so impressed with my acrobatic skills and felt inferior in comparison. I couldn't believe it. So I'd fought with my parents for nothing? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I actually loved the circus, and I was so grateful to my parents for providing me with such an exciting alternative life. It's not every day you can tell someone your dad's a clown or your mom's an acrobat. And now, I'm proud of my different lifestyle, but also glad that I'm getting the chance to attend a proper school too. The best of both worlds.